Hey Chris, I've been thinking a lot lately about this idea that we give so much time to external forces, whether that's competitors to what we're trying to do, competitors for our time and our resources, or our people's time and resources. We spend so much time thinking about the external things. Are we looking at the internal things inside of us and our organizations? Hey, everybody. Welcome to Live Fully Lead Authentically, a Brimstone Coaching podcast. My name is Kurt Busch. I'm co founder and coach here at Brimstone Coaching Group. I'm here with my friend, co founder, and coach partner, Chris Godfredson. So earlier, Chris, I saw this post on LinkedIn and it
Yeah.
said it like this, and I'm going to look at it because I don't have it memorized. It said, "Your biggest threat isn't your competitor, it's you."
Mm.
And I think that stirred up so much in me because there's so much a connection, so much of a connection with the way we think about what we are responsible for, what we can control, what we help our clients understand
Yeah.
of what they can control, what they're responsible for. What does that statement stir up in you?
Yeah, that's a really good question. I think I encounter a lot of brash statements like that on
Yeah.
LinkedIn.
Uh-huh.
I
Uh-huh.
mean, there's a lot of bold statements
There
about
are.
this and that and the other thing. It's not the employee, it's you, leader,
Yeah.
or whatever. And
Yeah.
I think what stirs in me when you texted me that piece from LinkedIn is the reality is like, yes, like so often we think that all of the things, all of the threats are out there. I'm pointing out there, uh, listener. Uh, and the reality is that we'll never resolve any external conflicts or any external situations or problems until we understand the things that are going on inside of ourselves that keep us from either disrupting what the autopilot, the norm,
Yeah.
or like we have to understand ourselves if we're ever going to impact change in any situation we find ourselves in.
Yeah.
How do you hear
Yeah.
that?
Yeah, well, I was just going to say what I didn't hear you say is that external threats are not present,
Hmm.
right? I
They're
think
always
that's
there.
yes, I think that's such an important piece to say right away is that when we talk about looking internally, you did not make any illusion that external threats are just not present. You would agree there's always an external threat, right?
I believe so. And what might be a threat that's external to me might not be for you,
Yeah, yeah,
right? So the
yeah,
meaning we make out of whatever situation we find ourselves in or whatever we perceive to be a threat, I think oftentimes is almost always would be connected back to something that we had previously experienced that, oh, that hurt, or I
yeah,
was
yeah.
afraid, or I didn't know what to do. And so whenever those things, those threats pop up, I think they're tied to something in our past.
Yeah.
And then what we do is we exile them. We exile these parts of us into off and deep into our being so that we don't have to feel or experience them again. Right. And
Yeah,
so
yeah,
um, what might be external, an external threat to you and to me uh, is, I think, just by virtue of past experiences, they're there. And
yeah, yeah.
things that, uh, like bats, I hate those things.
That
Uh,
took a turn.
I mean, that's an external
Yeah,
thing.
yeah,
Some people might not care about them. Some people think they're great because they eat mosquitoes. Bats are just gross, and I don't like them. So there's that. I
yeah.
don't know if that's helpful today for the sake of our conversation.
I mean, for the sake of solidarity, I'll say I don't particularly enjoy bats. I always think they're going to hit
Yeah.
me. I know they're not,
Right?
but
Yeah.
I always think they're going to swoop and hit me.
Well, like if there's more hair to get in, If they get if they land on your head than if they
like
land on mine.
like a
Yeah.
warm nest area
Yes,
up in here.
exactly. Yeah, up in here. Yeah.
So I think when I read this, well, I mean, in full transparency, the context of this was in like an organizational sense.
Yeah.
You know that if if you and I happen to, I don't know, own a small business, that the greatest threat to our business or anybody else's organization or their business or whatever, whatever they lead, whatever they participate in, the greatest threat is not a competitor outside, but rather how that organization, uh, how they are together, how they
Yes.
understand the organization, how they understand themselves internally first. Um,
100%.
can I give an example of
I would
this?
love that. I was just going to say, could you explain this to us
Yep.
a little bit more clearly?
Yep. So about 5 years ago, which is crazy to think it's been almost 5 years now.
Right.
About 5 years ago, I started serving on the board of an organization locally here that I love. I still love to this day. I haven't been on the board for a minute, as the kids might say,
Mm-hmm.
but I just love the mission of this organization. And what was true is that when I went on that board, I had very little board experience. I had very little nonprofit world experience, and I found myself noticing that we as a board were looking to engage people with
Mm-hmm.
their volunteer hours, with their resources, with all parts of who they are and what they have to offer to further the mission of that organization.
Yeah.
Pretty standard nonprofit board things, right?
Yeah.
Um, the thing I realized was in this region of the world that we live in, there are 1.5 million nonprofits.
Yes.
And I'm not sure that's an exaggeration.
I'm not sure it is either. Even in
No.
a county where the population is like 32 or 33,000 people, there's 1.5 million
Yeah.
nonprofits.
There might be a nonprofit for every person.
Do the math.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what I realized was when there was so much, I'm gonna use air quotes again, competition
Mm-hmm.
um, for those volunteers and for those donors and things like that, I found myself seeing those other organizations as competitors and seeing like, oh man, what are they doing and what are we as the organization that I serve for, what are we doing wrong? Like, what are we not keeping up with? But more importantly, like, how do we get the other organizations to do differently, or how do we get other people to buy into our
Mm-hmm.
organization with very little effort given on my part to look organizationally inside?
Mm,
Um,
yeah.
I wish I had some sort of like anecdotal story about how I was, this pioneering leader that changed the culture of an organization. I
Yeah, I
unfortunately
totally
don't.
crushed it.
Yeah, yeah.
And instead what you're saying is, I found myself looking out there. I
Yes.
found myself looking and or believing that other people were either doing this better than we did, or volunteers weren't thinking correctly, or they were serving in the
Yes.
wrong places, or
Yes.
doing all, having all of these thoughts. And like, do you have any idea what some of that is based in, founded in for you? Like, why were you looking out there?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think what you said really resonates. I mean, what's true is I had already kind of begun to do this looking inward work for myself, but
Mm-hmm.
I just did not know how to apply it organizationally, right?
Mm.
I did not know how to think about this from a nonprofit systems sort of view.
Mm-hmm.
With a system made up of volunteers, that's a very different thing. So I think what was true is number one, I just really wanted this organization to succeed. Like
Yeah.
I really wanted the events that we needed volunteers for to have the volunteers it needed. I really
Yeah.
wanted the things that we need sponsors for to have sponsors. I think the looking out was grounded, maybe
Mm-hmm.
maybe misaligned where I was grounded, but it was grounded in this deep desire for success.
Sure.
Um,
Yeah.
but what I realized really quick was that I can't control those
Mm.
external forces.
There we go.
right?
Yes. Yeah.
So I think the grounding was right. I mean, I
Hmm.
think there probably was some level, if I drill deep enough down, I think your words from before of like the external threat was like, I'm a part of this organization, and if it doesn't succeed to the level I want it to, well, now I haven't succeeded to the level that I wanted to, and I can't bear
Yeah.
that. There is some of that under there too. Yeah.
Sure. Yep. Yeah. I think the challenge organizationally, right, is how some of the things that I think about or wonder about is like in a nonprofit like that, where the volunteers are varied. There may be long timers, there may be short timers, there's new board people, there's
Yeah.
old board people, right?
Yeah.
There's
Yeah.
this way of doing it. And how do we break out of this way that's kept us here?
Yeah.
And we
Yeah.
want to go there. Well, how do we what are the necessary steps that help us get there? And I
Yeah.
think the point
Yeah.
you're making, the connection that I hear anyway to the LinkedIn post, the idea is that like organizationally, people within the organization need to get to take an intense look at the things, the systems, the structures, the things that have worked, the things that haven't worked, and then maybe apply that in ways um, that help shape what could be,
Yeah.
not forgetting what is behind,
Yeah.
but to be able to but to be able to move forward.
Yeah.
An
Yeah.
organization that will have to look internally to
Yeah.
defeat or to overcome the
Yeah.
external forces that would have. I mean, there's always the forces that just want homeostasis, right?
Yeah.
Let's
Yeah.
just stay where we are, keep things the way they are. This has always worked. Well, actually, we haven't met budget in 7 years or
Yeah.
whatever. This is
Yeah.
a conversation I'm having earlier in the day with a nonprofit that I'm involved with. And
Yeah.
the reality is no, I mean, we can't just keep doing all of that because every nonprofit does employ some people. And at some
Yeah.
point, uh, people are what is going to be let go uh,
Yeah.
so that the thing can remain open and solvent. And
Yeah.
so, uh,
Yeah.
in your experience, what would you say? Uh, maybe is there a hurdle or a stumbling block that you've found that organizations deal with in terms of, well, how do how, an unwillingness perhaps to take an
Yeah.
internal look?
Yeah. Yeah. Can I give another example to answer that?
Hmm.
Um, so I'm going to go back a little bit further. Just over a decade ago, some listeners know this, you know this, but maybe some listeners don't. I've got Tammy Badgerman in my head right now.
Yeah.
Um, just over a decade ago, I worked for a manufacturing company and was responsible for recruiting all of the hourly labor. Um, most, almost all of the hourly labor.
Hmm.
And what was true is this company I worked for was a really good employer, but was a mid-level employer as far as manufacturing went in the
Yeah.
area that we were in.
Yep.
So what would happen is we would hire a lot of the workforce from a lower paying manufacturing plant or a plant with a lower, background expectation or work experience expectation. It's a stepping stone, right? But
Yeah.
also within 15 minutes of this plant I worked for was a John Deere plant, was actually two John Deere plants.
Yeah.
And if you know anything about John Deere, they are a huge employer.
Yes,
Um,
sir.
or Alcoa. I don't know if you know this name.
I
Alcoa
do
makes
know.
almost everything aluminum in in the
Hmm.
world.
Yeah.
Um,
Yep.
so constantly we, as a recruiter, constantly I would bump up against this. Hey, I'm putting my 2 weeks notice in to go work at John Deere, or I'm putting my 2 weeks notice in
Mm-hmm.
to go work at Alcoa. And
Mm-hmm.
I and the company spent so much time being mad at John Deere and Alcoa, right?
Yeah.
Never,
Yeah. Yeah.
never really thinking, okay, what can we do? And I think to
Yeah.
your point, sometimes as organizations, there are levers that we can't pull, right? I
Yeah.
could not
Right.
pay more, right? I could not recruit an employee and pay them more. I could
Hmm.
not have a person give their 2 weeks and say, you know what, I'm just going to give you whatever John Deere is going to give you. Could not do
Yeah.
that. So I think that sometimes is a barrier to your question.
Hmm.
Sometimes there are barriers that are fixed. But the other barrier, I think, is, um, in that case, particularly, the barrier was just I we didn't know what to do. The barrier was just uncharted territory, which shouldn't have. I mean, it really shouldn't have been uncharted. It was constant, but
Sure.
it was uncharted territory. We didn't know what we didn't know, so you attack what you do know, right?
Yeah.
Um,
Is it okay if I introduce an idea or something that we haven't talked
please,
about in a while?
please, please.
But um, yeah, I mean, we talk about and we think about these ideas, two ideas. One is that we face any organization will face technical problems day in and
Yeah,
day out,
yeah, yeah,
where oftentimes we know the solution. We've done it before, so we fix it. And then there are adaptive challenges, right? And then an adaptive challenge says that like the answer might be findable here within the system, but it isn't one that we've employed before.
yeah,
Or we're going to have to go outside of ourselves to learn what it is we need to do to be able to break through the
yeah,
monotony of whatever it is that has us stuck.
yeah,
And it might feel as though I'm contradicting myself when I say that in with an adaptive challenge that we're going to have to go out there to another source or to another um, place, vendor, another thought leader to help us understand something so that we can take steps forward. But I don't think that we'll ever do that. We'll never lean into the
yeah,
adaptive challenge if we haven't done our own internal work as an organization to
yeah,
understand that this is really a technical problem. I mean,
yeah,
this is no longer a technical problem.
yeah, yeah,
We can't solve it. And so there and what's true, I think, for many organizations is pride, tradition, all of
yeah,
these things are in our way, and they
yeah,
keep us stuck and stop from being able to humble ourselves enough to say, I don't have the answers.
yeah,
And
yeah,
and that is an internal problem that's
yeah,
keeping me from being able to deal with an external problem that is
yeah,
beyond our ability to handle in the moment. So to I think for organizational leaders to be able to identify, hey, like our internal problem is that we don't have a solution. We
yeah,
sense that there's something there. And can we open ourselves up to I don't know, maybe engaging with some coaches that would help us think about and identify the fact that this is really an adaptive challenge.
yeah. That is so good, Chris. I'm glad you made that turn. I'm going to ask you to quantify something that's impossible to quantify, but how
Sweet.
yeah, it's a gotcha moment, really.
Yeah,
Um,
thanks.
in 2025,
Hmm.
how often, like when we're thinking about these internal things that keep us from handling external threats well or fully or completely or whatever we want to say, how
Yeah.
often do you think these move? How often do you think they're technical, and how often do you think they're adaptive?
Boy, that's a good question. But in an increasingly speedy world, I think adaptive challenges are almost normative,
Yeah, yeah,
right? And I don't know, we've been referencing the LinkedIn world a little bit more frequently here over the last several episodes, and it's because we're hanging out on LinkedIn. And and while we do that, I don't know about the rest of the world, but like my eyes are open now
mm,
to artificial intelligence and to
yeah,
AI in ways that they never were before.
yeah,
Friends, if you aren't utilizing AI or if you don't know what that is, uh-oh. um, like the world is going to pass you by, but there are experts all over the place that are available to help organizational
yeah,
leaders think about how to
yeah,
utilize something that can really be beneficial organizationally. But this is an adaptive challenge. We don't have solutions
yeah,
to the world of AI because that didn't exist 20 years ago.
yeah,
Or let me take that back. It was on the very front end of AI 20 years ago. So
Yeah.
while this thing is really emerging in the moment, uh, leaders, and this is just one example, right? I think we're dealing with adaptive challenges all the time. The
All the
pace
time.
of change is exponentially greater than it's ever been.
Yeah. Yeah.
All the more, all the more, I think, for leaders. I mean, I'm going to take this back to an individual leader now.
Yeah.
All the more reason for the individual leader to be able to do her or his own work, to understand who they are, what the threats are, to being able to
Yeah.
say, you know what, I don't have the answer.
Yeah.
Because if a leader isn't willing to say that and then welcome additional voices within the system, and then when they discover together that, oh, this isn't a technical problem, we don't have the answer, they're never going to be able to look outside of themselves,
Yeah.
understanding, like, because they're not going to realize that they have an internal problem.
Yeah. Yeah.
It
That's
feels like I'm talking in circles, but I think I'm being clear.
I think so. I mean, I think I want to take a little bit of a break, but I think maybe
Hmm.
the thing that I would say just to clarify, um, I don't think you're talking in circles, but maybe this helps you close a loop.
Hmm.
When I think of technical and adaptive challenges and problems, if if I possess the answers or things I've done, like if I can open a notebook and say, in 2012, we faced this same problem, and I'm going to institute that same
Yep.
solution in 2025, and it's going to go away, technical problem.
Yeah.
If I don't have a playbook for a problem, whether that's all my employees are going to John Deere or all my donors are going to this other
Yes.
nonprofit when they used to come to us,
Yep.
I don't have a playbook for it. That's an adaptive problem. Does that
Exactly.
help close
Yeah,
the
that's
loop a
an
little bit?
adaptive challenge. And what I would say, and I think where I felt like maybe I'm talking in circles is like we need to organizationally and as leaders, individual leaders in the organization, we need to understand internally
Yes.
what keeps us stuck and stopped before we can or are ever willing to look outside of ourselves.
Yes.
So, in order to uh, deal with the adaptive challenge, we're going to need to know internally that we don't have the solution, that we need to look externally to get the solution that we need.
Yeah.
And um, yeah,
Yeah.
it's vital work to
Yeah.
look organizationally and individually within this, especially the leader.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I would make the case, and then we're going to take a break. I would try to make the case that says this doesn't happen organizationally without the leader doing the work themselves, right?
Bingo.
So let's take a little break and then we'll talk more about that, unpack that a little bit more.
Sounds good.
Have you ever walked out of a meeting or left a conversation thinking, why did I just show up like that? Why did I shrink back or explode or stay silent when it mattered? You're not alone and you're not broken. You're likely reacting from a pattern that started long before that meeting ever happened. In their new book, Live Fully, Lead Authentically, Kurt Busch and Chris Godperson unpack the hidden second job so many of us carry, spending our days managing the anxiety, fear, and old stories that shape how we lead. Through honest stories and practical tools, they invite leaders to pause, reflect, and lead in a new way. Get your copy today at brimstonecoachinggroup.com/new book. Order now. This is your invitation to lead differently.
Hey, welcome back, everybody, to Live Fully, Lead Authentically. Chris, I just want to highlight and affirm and put something out here for us to pull on just a little bit more, if that's okay.
Mm, okay.
Um, I think what you said that is so profound is the thought process you started to present here around if adaptive challenges are real, if they are predominantly what individual leaders and organizations are facing, you said we really have to understand what's going on inside of us that will allow us to reach out into places that we don't currently know or don't currently like have a presence in to learn and to be able to face these adaptive challenges. I think it's
Hmm.
so profound to think about how do I prepare myself to be able to do that work to face an adaptive challenge? Uh, this is the work that we do with people.
Yeah.
What does that mean? Like when I say this is the work we do with people, what does that mean, Chris?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think we help people understand to get to become a bit more self-aware. They understand themselves more fully. Like, why am I hesitant to ask
Yeah,
somebody else for help?
yeah,
Is there a threat? What's the threat? Where is the threat founded? Is the basis for my concern about whatever it is that's keeping me afraid or unwilling or whatever it is that to ask someone else to help me with the problem that I'm dealing with?
yeah,
What is it that's in the way and where did that originate? Because if we do that, if we can help you, and if I'm willing to take a look at my life as a leader and
yeah.
say, oh yeah, like I'm not willing to ask for help because I did that once and like I was hurt. Like the way I
Mm,
was treated when I asked for help, I was laughed at and I was mocked. And
mm,
so now I protect myself at all costs from being laughed at and mocked.
yeah,
Well,
yeah,
if I'm an organizational leader now and I say to my team, you know what, I don't know the answer to the problem, and you laugh or mock me, then I'm going to do what I did when I was 10.
yeah,
You
yeah,
know, I'm going to behave that way. So,
yeah,
like
yeah,
we help leaders discover the things about themselves that are keeping them stuck internally that they're unaware of.
yeah,
Because often we're unaware of the fact that
yeah,
that those things are playing a part in our lives. So,
yeah, yeah,
um,
yeah.
I,
There's. I, sorry, I cut you off.
mm-mm.
Would you agree with the statement that there's not leaders out there that are saying, you know what, this is an adaptive challenge, and I'm just not going to do it because I don't think this is a conscious. I'm not going to do what I have to do. I think oftentimes this is in your words, it's just it's a lack of awareness that something's holding us back, right?
Yeah, I think you're right about that. Yeah. I, there might be one in 100 who's just stubborn enough to says, "No, I'm like by sheer grit,
Yeah,
I'm gonna solve this problem the
yeah,
way I have always solved it." But
that's fair.
most people are not just avoiding problems. If they are, they won't do it for very long. At least they
Yeah,
won't do it for very long in the organization that they're in.
yeah,
They will be asked to go do that somewhere else. The reality, though, is that yeah, many of us are simply unaware.
yeah,
And that's what coaching is about. That's what bringing in an outside facilitator to help you if you sense that there is a problem in your organization that uh, where we're just stuck or we're bumping up against it. To use your example, like we're losing donors, we're losing volunteers. Okay, these are things we do. We sit
yeah,
with people, we listen, we take in as much information to understand context and culture and the character of the organization so that we can then help you understand, well, where's the confusion? Where is it that you're hoping to go and what's standing in your way of actually getting there?
yeah,
And then we ask questions and we hold up a mirror, if you will. We move the hand from in front of your face and you go, oh, it's there.
yeah,
Or we help you understand why you've been unwilling to ask your neighbor to
yeah,
help you solve your problem because
yeah.
there's probably someone else in your industry who's
Mm-hmm.
doing what you know you need to do, but are
Yeah,
being unwilling to do because of any number of reasons. Maybe some are known, maybe some are unknown. But
yeah,
again, that's why an outside source, somebody, some people outside the system often can see things and help you deal with things to help you move forward.
yeah.
I mean, when I say that, how do you hear all that?
Yeah, I'm getting a little excited. I'm gonna try not to like rant
Yeah.
here or ramble, but I think what's true, Chris, is I could go online right now and Google how do I get more donors to my nonprofit, or I can Google how do I retain employees at a mid-level manufacturer. Like I can find here's a technical answer, right? I
Yeah.
can find that right now, and I am gonna go on the record to say those are not going to work. Um,
Probably
they might
not.
work for a minute. They might give the impression of working. But I think what stirs in me as you talk is that um, that internal work is just so necessary, so
Yeah.
vital. I'm going to use the word. I'm going to use that word necessary on purpose
Yeah.
to say like there's just no other way for me to get out of my own way to find solutions that I'm not going to find any other way until I can allow myself to be honest about what I know and
Yeah.
what I don't know,
Yep.
um, and understand that that doesn't make me a bad leader. That actually makes me a really good leader.
It makes you a leader
Yes,
because you're
yes,
continuing to learn and grow and understand so that you're not the lid, but you're actually
yes,
the leader.
yes. Let me ask you a question.
We should tweet that.
We
No, I'm
should
kidding.
tweet on it. I just tweeted it. I just did
Oh,
it.
good. Thank you. Yeah. Mic drop. No.
Yeah. So I'm also really aware, like we've been at this for a little bit,
Hmm.
and we've helped some folks do this. And what's true for me, what was true for me, and what's true for the folks we help do this work. This is pretty scary. I mean,
Yeah.
there was a time in my life where decades I held this mental model that said I have to know all like I'm a leader, I have to know the answers.
Right.
Um,
Yeah.
what was it like for you when you started to begin the process to be able to say,
Mm.
okay, I've got an adaptive challenge and I'm going to need to seek some solutions and some wisdom and knowledge outside of myself. Like, do you remember what this has been like and continues to be like for you?
Well, sure. I think that what I would say is I mean, one of those deeply held fears is that people are going to think I suck.
Yeah,
And the weight of the leader has to have all the answers was more unbearable than that.
yeah,
And
yeah,
so I got to a place where I thought that if I didn't have the answer and I asked somebody, I'll go back to laughing and mocking again as a response. What I found was that people were uh, when I would say, I don't have the answer, and then I would follow it up with, what do you think? Or do you have any ideas
yeah,
about this? Or do you know anyone who would, and then, oh, like, oh, you need help?
yeah,
And people are often like, if you care about them and you care about the organization and so forth, and when the leader is willing to be vulnerable enough to say, you know what, I don't have all the answers. I would love it if we could figure this stuff out together. Then we would like actually get working towards the problem. The thing I feared never happened.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
And and so I don't know what it is for our listeners that would keep them stuck. Uh, but like, do you have a similar response? Do you have similar thought to that? I mean, has that been your experience too?
It has. About 6 years ago, I took a leadership role in a church
Mm-hmm.
that launched a second campus when one church ended and another church. I mean, you were intimately a part of these conversations, and
Yeah,
I sort of stepped into an adaptive challenge and had to learn what adaptive challenges were
yeah, you did.
as I was learning how to like seek help outside of the organization.
Yeah,
Um, and and I remember like that fear of, wait a minute, my organization hired me to be the leader. What are they going to think of me when I
right.
say I don't know? Um, and the reality was, and I think part of this is the organization. I mean, different organizations handle this differently. But the organization that I worked for actually Like that was that. I mean, I want to use the word rewarded, but that's not really the word.
Mm,
That was kind of expected that leaders within the organization would know where their knowledge and abilities ended and knew when it's time to seek someone from outside the organization. There
sure.
was what I found was there was no expectation that I would
Mm,
take on all the load and bear the
yeah.
responsibility alone
Yep.
and be the, the one that comes down from the mountain with the answers. Um,
Yes.
so I would echo, like, I found out really quickly, number one, it just feels so much lighter to not have to be the one.
Yeah.
Uh, but it also, I mean, none of my fears came true, right? It
Yeah.
was actually the exact opposite.
Yep. What I've been finding, I've been using this language a lot lately, and some people are offended by it. So uh, I apologize in advance for anyone that I offend. But to think that any human being knows everything or has
Mm,
all the answers is just ignorant
yeah, yeah,
in light of all of the information that is available throughout all of time. We are
yeah,
like this really finite, small being in a really tight window of time. We can't possibly have all of the information. So, why would we ever expect any one leader to have all of the information?
yeah,
I'm on a rant now, and so I'm going to stop. But here's the thing, friends, like we don't know it all,
yeah, yeah,
and nor can we even. It's not
yeah,
possible.
yeah,
So for me, that is freeing. Now, for many, it's like, oh, what are you doing? You're cutting me off at the knees, or no. But for me, it's freeing to understand. Like
yeah,
it's not even possible for me to have all the information. So why
yeah,
should I try?
yeah, yeah,
Uh, and 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 it's not that I shouldn't keep learning, but there's a realization that
yeah,
in me that says I don't know all the information. I can't. And so it's okay for me to ask people who know things that I
yeah,
don't, to ask them. Like, nobody
yeah,
wants me being a banker or an accountant
yeah, yeah.
or an aerospace engineer. You don't want me flying your Delta flight from Minneapolis to
No, I do not.
Denver.
Right.
But I do know some things,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
And there are things that I can help you with, like
yeah,
understanding yourself
yeah, yeah,
and asking questions to help you get to the point where you don't have to have all the answers. And I think having organizations, having an outside consultant who's able to sit in it with you to help you identify some places where maybe, hey, do you see this? Do you see this as a win, or do you see this as an opportunity? And
yeah.
if there's an opportunity here, like, this is the kind of stuff that we do pretty well. Yeah,
Yeah. This is why we exist.
exactly.
And we think this is what sets Brimstone Coaching Group apart, is the willingness to ask those questions, to say, what's actually so, what's going on, what's the barrier, and where do you want
Yeah,
to be, and what do you need to what do you need to do to get to the place you want to be?
it's really
Um,
good. So if an organization or if there's a leader who's listening today, how would they get in touch with us?
Yeah, the easiest way is through the website, brimstonecoachinggroup.com. There's a button on the top that says schedule a call. Um, Both you and I, Chris, are available for free 30-minute
Yeah,
coaching inquiry where you, listener, and either Chris or I can get on a call and say, hey, here's what we're up against. Can Brimstone be a solution, or at least be a step forward in the adaptive challenge we're facing?
yeah.
So yeah, take advantage of that free call. Not every call is going to be a fit, but we think most calls are going to be a fit.
Yeah, right. That's been my experience. We have the call, we engage in these conversations, and then we tailor a program to that suits you and your organization's lead needs. I would also say you can find us on LinkedIn,
Yeah,
and we write about these things every day of the week. So go check out either find Kurt Busch or Chris Godfredson on LinkedIn, and give us a follow, ring the bell, get notified, and engage with us in that way too. We would that gives you another, I mean, just a deeper window
Yeah.
into how we think, in addition to how we interact with each other in a space like this. So
Yeah, I'll put those links in the show notes,
yeah,
the links to our
that is
LinkedIn.
so cool.
I know,
The
right? Isn't
the
technology cool?
the Pod King.
Yeah,
Yes,
yeah.
this is an adaptive challenge for Chris. It's a technical problem for Kurt.
Chris, I appreciate the conversation today, man. I mean, I
Me too.
think these conversations are so exciting. Like this is where our heart beats, and I really just am hopeful that, this is how organizations change. This is how individual leaders change and transform. I'm just really hopeful for how this work
Yeah,
affects the world around us.
absolutely. Thanks for the conversation.